Say something nice about your dad.
This movie's about my father. He's a magician, Magic Michael.
He goes into hospitals and he
makes people happy.
And I'm very proud to have him as a father. אני מקווה שכולם יאהבו את הסרט הזה. הצלחה לכולם ולהתראות.
What did you say?
I said I hope that everyone likes this movie. Good luck to everyone, and goodbye.
Mariam, I love it to be with him and it's funny.
When Michael came into the room, the head nurse just fell on the floor laughing and he knew that was it.
The one and only, היחידי, שמצליח להצחיק את הילדים הגדול מכולם.
Because you see that people, wherever they are people.
I understand both sides, but...
We tried war and didn't have good solutions. We tried peace and we paid back in land and we got the same results and even worse.
Every time he sees my nephew, he gives him a balloon, he's doing any, some magics.
Israel is America. Right?
More better.
You see people being blown up or afraid to go to the marketplace or afraid to go on a bus.
They think this is a method to resist the occupation.
He really works from the heart and...
Palestinian people lose everything, they will do everything.
But the other side doesn't want war.
If this is where we belong and if we're doing it for the right reason, God will protect us.
We just want to be like a normal country, to live our lives.
I don't know, if it happens, it happens. You can't stay at home all the time.
But, we know that the songs that you keep stuck in your brain forever and ever are the stupid camp songs that you've sung because you had fun at that time. You never get rid of them. And that's the whole idea. When you have fun, you learn better. And it's been proved.
And he's a funny guy.
I call this the magic rainbows. So what I'll say is, here, Ahmed, or here, Mordechai, you take this rainbow and I'll take this one. And then what I have them do is, I have them draw with me 3 lines. Then I'll go on with a story about there were 2 rainbows that had a fight. And that's not good to fight, is it? But what were they fighting about? One always wanted to be bigger and greater than the other. So they floated up into the sky, and which one was greater? Well, the child will usually tell me, in this case, the green one. So I'll say, oh, that's right, the green one appears bigger than the pink one. I'll put that on the side. And the pink one decided he would do lots of exercise, and he went to the gym and he exercised and ran and jogged and lifted weights. And then they floated back up to the sky, and which one was bigger? And I don't finish the sentence, and the child inevitably says, the pink one is bigger. And I'll say, you're right. So I'll put that down, and we'll go through the whole thing again. Exercise, pulling, stretching, etc., floating back up into the sky, and the green one is now bigger. So then I'll point out to them, you know what? It doesn't matter about the colors, because look at this. Muhammad or Binyamin. Which one is bigger? The top one or the bottom one? And they'll say the bottom one. And I'll say to them, which one now? The top one or the bottom? And they'll say the bottom, and back and forth, and they smile. And then I'll say to them, but you know what? It's not good to argue and fight. We know that, right? It's better to live in, and sometimes they'll finish the word for me. They'll say it's better to live in peace. And what really happened was the rainbows learned that to live in peace is the best thing, because really they were the very same size. And that's how we should try and strive. We're all humans, we've got to be on the same earth and try and live in peace.
Sometimes it's the flower, sometimes the sword in their hand. Everyone claims the power, it's trouble in the Holy Land. Everybody runs, there ain't no place to hide. There are so many guns, so many have died. This is what you get on TV. collide. There's a rainbow in the sky. Some days you see it clear, and you hear the awful sounds, and you know it's been hell around here, where the ancient prophets walked and the old folks sighed. By the western wall they prayed for some force to change the tide, where the Jordan River runs deep and it's cold from side to side. The price of peace is steep. When two worlds collide, when two worlds collide, each one is scarred, like two pit bulls fighting in a yard. When two worlds collide by the temple and the dome, what magic will it take to bring peace back home? Children are the future. You can see it in a child's face. The openness, the innocence, time seems to erase. How many have suffered? How many have cried? The door to peace opens up a crack. What'll it take to open it wide? Can it start with one small deed, with one man as the guide? Maybe that's what we all need. When two worlds collide, when two worlds collide, when two worlds collide. When two worlds collide.
I am a university teacher. My wife is also a teacher, and we have a boy, Mahmoud, 13 years old, who fell down from the roof of the house, and he had a very severe head injury. And now he's being hospitalized in Aline Hospital, and he's receiving good treatment. And he's improving.
It's something different.
Balloon healer. Yes, a balloon healer, yes. Put my hands in there and away it goes.
Hani was a little boy. He was against all the blasters, shouting and crying. Suddenly somebody came into this room and says, "What happened? What happened? I'm Magic Michael." And he started to do some magics, and suddenly the boy was watching him, and he didn't feel what I'm doing. I was taking blood test, and then I said, "Okay, it's finished. You're a great boy." And he says, "Wow, I didn't feel anything. I was just looking to Magic Michael." I said, "Oh, Magic Michael, you're really making magic."
Don't blink. נכון. פעמיים, זאת אומרת Magic Michael. Magic Michael, זה אני. What I choose to do for rehabilitation for the children is based on, first and foremost, what the doctors or the nurses will tell me is appropriate or suggest. And I'll say Magic Michael in X and such a room is a kid who really needs to get up and get out of bed, or we just had a boy who just is post-surgery, and if you can get him moving his limbs, that will help a lot. So I'll usually ask that if we've got a particular goal for the kids I'm going to be visiting in a particular ward. Also, from my experience, I know and have learned through these years what type of situation a child is in, how that dictates what it is that they need to do.
What's
that?
You can't photograph inside the train, okay?
הוא עושה audio.
Yeah, I'm just doing the audio.
Call.
It's my call.
It's reading record.
Outside.
Outside. Please, don't do it.
Okay.
בסדר.
Thank you.
אבל audio מותר, נכון? audio מותר.
האודיו, אני לא יכול להגיד לך לא.
אוקיי, בסדר. He says audio is fine.
That's close.
אוקיי, הנה, יש לנו פה אבא שפן ואמא שפן. את מי את רוצה להחזיק? את אבא או אמא? אמא, אוקיי, הנה אמא. אז אבא אני אשים בכיס. אבא אני אשים בכיס, אבל אמא, תחזיקי טוב, תעשי לגרוב סגור למטה. עכשיו את יודעת מה? סבתא? אבא ואמא השפנים האלו, הם אוהבים אחד את השני, בדיוק כמו המשפחה שלך, נכון אמא? או, כל כך הרבה אהבה שהם לא יכולים להיפרד. אי אפשר. אז מה המילים מיוחדות שלנו? תרגישי טוב, רפואה שלם מלא, שאלי, נכון? תוכלו להגיד? תרגישי טוב. רפואה שלם לי. תגידי, לי. לי. יפה, תפתחי את היד. שאלי! איך עשית דבר כזה? Magic is an experience that an audience or a spectator has when something of wonder, something of ooh and ah, and something special has happened, perhaps right in their very own hands, interacting with the magician. Some people naturally want to figure out what's the magician doing, how did he do that trick, how did she perform that stunt, because of human nature. We all have this innate desire not to be fooled or tricked. In addition, though, what sometimes will bring that up more than another is if there is an adversarial role between the magician and the audience. And my feeling in magic is 90% entertainment, wonder, joy for the spectator or spectators, and 10% is the conjuring, the trick itself. But if you have a magician, and you do have people with this type of attitude in their presentation, which I don't subscribe to at all, but it's almost adversarial. It's almost as though I'm going to fool you, I'm going to trick you, you're not going to figure this out, and then they proceed to do whatever it is that they're doing. And in my opinion, they fail entirely in the real goal of magic and conjuring, which is to provide enjoyment.
The thing about him that he tries to learn the language of the person that he's talking to.
חקיקי, יא מזויר, מזובר.
מזייף.
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 חקיקי,
حقيقي.
حقيقي, יא מזויף.
ولا مزيف.
ولا مزيف. حقيقي או ولا مزيف?
كيف تعرف إذا حقيقي ولا مزيف? I asked him, how do you know that if it is...
האם יש חוטים? האם יש חוטים?
إذا في خيطان
של משי.
خيطان حريرية.
אז זה אמיתי. חקיקי, חקיקי. או מצאתי את החוטים.
بقول لك لا الخيطان طلع. معقولة هاي معقولة. Where did it go?
I don't speak English. What do you say?
I don't care where they come from. For me, it's the same. I love them. I take care of
the country
them.
is all is very how do you say mixed with cultures.
They told us from the beginning there is no policy here.
By being together and living here, and like you have like a joint destiny.
We are here as in our home.
And what that means is...
Language is actually secondary.
Magic, I think, crosses all cultural bounds because what I certainly see first and foremost here is children smile the same way all over the world.
My dad is a magician. He goes to the hospitals. He makes the patients happy with such simple things, with balloons, with little bubbles, with all different little toys. He can get them for 25 cents. There's nothing hard with it. But usually it always comes from somebody else, not from the parents. Like, we already know the parents, so it's not that interesting anymore. So everyone always wants to know new people. So it always comes from somebody else. If I'm sick, I like it from my friends. I'm much happier with my friends than my parents. I mean, like, my parents, I'm already used to them, and, like, there's nothing more exciting.
So with that, what I'll say to you is, charge. But cash is always better. And we're within the whole complex now of the Sourasky Tel Aviv Medical Center. Car behind you, let's head in. I don't view myself as silly overtaking seriousness. I view silly as part of my seriousness. Maybe that sounds like it's just semantics, but it's not. The seriousness of being a medical magician, which is what I call myself, as opposed to a clown doctor. I don't think that's a term that applies to what I practice. But the silliness of being a medical magician is a very serious part of what I do.
Michael does not come into the picture as a nice Jewish guy or anything. He's just the clown, and the clown is something extraterritorial. He doesn't belong anywhere. He's not a member of anything else. And any child, the children who can't talk, who can't speak, they react to what he does. Even the children who have never been outside hospital, they've never been to the circus, they've never seen clowns before, they recognize him as something unique, special, not related to the other human beings around them. I mean, it doesn't matter whether he speaks Arabic or speaks French or speaks whatever, or speaks Hebrew. A lot of times they find out that his Hebrew isn't perfect, so they feel at home with that. So that also plays a part. Look, he doesn't speak very well, I don't speak very well, we're just about the same.
Bravo. Bravo. עכשיו אני בורח ובקר. מרחפים.
I'm from the Galilee Mountains. I've studied there all my life till 18, and then I came to study in Jerusalem to become a social worker. What does a social worker do? Mainly, we try to help assist people, families, children, adults, to try to help themselves. He came for his first visit. And his first encounter with the staff in the hospital, he explained about what he was supposed to do and what his main project, I wouldn't call it job, mission would be here in the hospital. When you're happy and when you're doing something and when you're feeling energetic, I think this adrenaline in our body, gives us the opportunity to do and to progress and to reach a better stage on our treatment. It's proven.
When you come to the hospital, it's like you come into a different atmosphere, it's a different world. Like all the rat race of the world stops in the hospital. Here it's calm and quiet and easy, and it's different.
I never had a problem, that say, because you're an Arab, we don't want an Arab social worker or any sort of discrimination. I never had that here. And with the staff in the hospital in general, I never felt it in any way that there's any discrimination.
As I see it, I lived in the States for almost, not in a row, but for a year and a half, and I had a good life and a lot of money and a car and a nice house, but I was a foreigner there. Although I know the language and the Americans were very nice and all of this, but it's not my country, it's a different mentality, and I believe I don't have another country. So although all the problems and all the terror and all the bombs in the streets, so what can you do? This is your country. I won't feel safe in any other place in the world except Israel.
I live in between checkpoints. One of them that leads to Ramallah and the other that leads to Jerusalem. I know what people suffer on the checkpoints, so I can tell, but I don't let it interfere into my work, into my job.
If we deal with every bad thing that happens here, we won't survive. So sometimes we just I don't open the TV, I don't read the paper, I don't want to know. Sorry, but it's for my benefit.
I understand both sides, but I also give justice a place. Justice is the way I see it,
Continue with your regular life. You continue going to work, you continue studying, and life goes on.
It's a problem, and I understand that, but it has to be solved thoroughly. It's just not, you know.
Like we all are here, so like we can. Well, if I talk about in Israel about the terror attack that happened, you will understand what I mean.
Usually you ask who started it.
Right now, it doesn't even matter, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, if you were standing on a checkpoint for 5 hours and you were never let to pass, you would say, I wish he would die. I wish the curse of God would fall on him. This is what I hear people say. And it's not easy.
We share the same feelings because we are here. This is our country.
I passed the checkpoint easily because I have a blue ID. Assumingly, I'm a citizen. But those who are not citizens, who have a green ID, which means that you're a Palestinian or live in a Palestinian area, cannot pass.
My generation was born to wars, terror, doesn't matter. Or you have a war or you have terror. I mean, terror is also a war.
Complex issue. I prefer to be a social worker, playing, to speak, to laugh, to try to help, to do my job. But from the inside, I'm not relaxed. I'm not completely, clear with myself.
And I know the Americans have been like, you had your September 11, but like it was one big, terrible, awful thing. But here it's a way of life. I don't think in America it's a way of life, so it's different.
Right here in India, tell me what this sound is. Ready?
Okay.
It's Raj Kapoor.
That's right.
Yeah.
You said it in, you remember it in English?
No.
Train.
Oh, okay.
Raj Kapoor?
Yes.
Hey, look at that. I learned in Sanskrit how to say train.
We are from Gaza.
This gentleman is visiting from Jordan. Hey, you speak Bulgarian? No, we're not going to talk about this kid in Bulgarian, then are we? Okay, you ready? Here we go. Oh, Banadora. Yeah, Banadora. شوف شوف هيا شوفي أرنب نعم أرنب. This is Grand Central here. Case with the old props.
How he does it, I don't know. I don't think anybody can really understand Michael's energy level. But he does it. I don't know how he does it, but he does it. He has an incredible amount of patience and an incredible amount of love to offer. And he's a very, very accepting person.
I feel happy when I see him, just smiling.
The best kinds of magic are things that take place in a spectator's hands. So whether they're grasping or grabbing a card or ball, that's the best kind of magic because it's really happening in the hands of the spectator, and that's the most wonderful thing, when the magic you make
One of
happen.
the questions that we ask ourselves is, will this be long-term? If he comes in every week, will he still be the novelty, the surprise, the fun that he is, or will he become a routine? And that's one of the things we're trying to find out right now.
This central area of Israel is called Gush Dan, the very center and heart of Israel.
I'm the mayor of Rehovot. I was born here. As a matter of fact, my father was also born here exactly 100 years ago. He was born in the first house ever built in the city. The city was established 113 years ago. Michael came to my office in his very direct approach. You know, you're very pleased to meet someone who has no complaints, he just wants to contribute.
He makes it very clear to them that he loves them with all his heart and that they are very precious to him, his whole family. It's very, very clear to all of us that we are the source of his joy. Furthermore, it is a firm belief in Judaism that Israel commands more providence than any place else in the world. With those two beliefs very firmly in my makeup, I felt that if this is where we belong and if we're doing it for the right reason, then God will protect us. And if God chooses that something should happen here, then that's because it was supposed to. And if we'd been in America, it would have happened a different way.
Boker tov, toda rabba. Have a wonderful day. I love you. Okay, bye-bye. I love you. Can I get my kiss? I can get my kiss. Come on. Bye. I love you.
I live next door to Meir. We like friends. We are going to run together sometimes. He's nice. I like him. Every time he sees my nephew, he gives him a balloon. He's doing some magics. Every time he meets someone new, someone of my family, my cousins, my girlfriend, something like that, he meets her. Instead of talking to her, he breaks the ice with a little joke, something. He's not only performing magics, he's doing it with humor.
These two fleas went to see a movie, and after the film they stepped out in the street, and the first flea says to the second, "Hey, should we walk home or catch a dog?"
We have here an American community, actually. It's people who came from America, from England, from Australia, from South America, from South Africa. We started this community for Olim Chadashim, for new immigrants who came to Israel, to have the same community atmosphere in Israel as they have in America. And everyone feels comfortable, we all feel like we're in one family, and in this way we can keep our roots on the one hand, and on the other hand, we can develop our Judaism in a way that we feel comfortable with.
I think the fact that I practice Torah Judaism infuses me with the constant reminder that we all have responsibilities in life, and that responsibility I carry over into what I do in hospitals and interacting with other human beings, whether they're children, whether they're adults, whether they're hospitalized, whether they're just visiting. And that's something that I think permeates what I do. As I said another time, I think when we spoke, I take being silly very seriously. So that sounds cute, but it's a real, honest appraisal of how my Judaism, how my religion infuses what I do and how I interact with people.
Okay,
I was bitten also by what I've described that I like to try and accomplish now, which is that wonderment, that joy, that special feeling that's resting inside of you of, wow, that was such a unique experience. And I see and hear and feel all around me everyone enjoying what they're seeing. And that first magician who lit that up in me, his act is called Denny and Lee. And he's still around today. He's a grandfather. He's a wonderful man. The other two mentors are two gentlemen who did not work full-time in magic. One was an engineer by trade, Joe Bruno. And the other gentleman's name is Eddie Robinette, and he also has performed for just about 50 years, I would say. And so those three gentlemen, Messrs. Bruno, Robinette, and Haney, are just the most wonderful mentors. And that's also something that is wonderful about magic as a hobby for children. People, typically healthy people, want to give back. They want to invest in others to help them get a leg up. Yesterday, in an Arab village here in Israel, two telephone company employees from the National Telephone Company went in to service the telephone lines. No problems in that village ever in the past. And a 15-year-old Arab boy came up to the car and shot at point-blank range and killed a 31-year-old telephone employee. And then he dropped the gun and ran away. He was wounded and caught and taken to the local Jewish hospital for service. And my question is, who is teaching these children to not only destroy the lives of others, but to ruin their own lives? To ruin their own lives.
This is something you're taught early in the beginning of the studies of nursing and medical school, that you treat people no matter what their color, age, sex, whatever, everything, you treat them first.
Here in this place, there is no policy. All of them treated us very, very, very good. In the beginning we was afraid, but now from all our hearts we are very relaxed. Son was suffering from leukemia in the blood. He was in intensive care unit. If we were in Gaza, I think my son will be died. What they did for my son when he was in intensive care unit, they called America and British, and they bring him a new medicine in the world. It from America, they gave it to him, went out of intensive care unit, and he is very good now. In our hospitals, there is no like this, to call here and to call there and to do this. But sometimes we are suffering. We have a license to come to the hospital here. We are here for 4 months in this room. Not allowed to us to go out. If we want to buy food, to buy cigarettes, to buy something to the child, I think not allowed to us. So we are here in the room.
I am about to go into pediatric ICU, second time today, to visit a little boy who is after some major surgeries. To visit again, his father specifically asked that I come back again. I'm going to teach him to do a magic trick, which gives this empowerment to the child and something that he can teach to other people too. Not just for distraction, but to actually give him something to work his fine motor skills on.
תרגיש טוב, רפואה שלמה, כולם יחד. תרגיש טוב, רפואה שלמה. למאור! מצוין, אתה רואה? אוי, מה קרה פה? תפתח בגדול, תפתח בגדול. תפתח בגדול את היד שלך. וואי, מאור, מה עשית? אוי, רגע.
What does your dad do?
He goes to places, he learns, he learns Torah, he walks on his head, he goes to the water place, he goes on the camera, he goes on the computer, he goes to the air conditioner, he talks with my mother, a lot of things.
What do you like about living here?
I don't like living here, I like living in America.
Oh, really? Well, why don't you like living here?
I don't have friends, and there's no one to play with next to me, and I don't really have anybody to play with because they're always not home, or they always go to other friends, or we don't play anything because they always don't have anything to play. And
What do you think the best trick in the world would be?
jumping on a trampoline and holding scissors and holding a string and holding a cake and holding a telephone and then jumping without them falling.
The main problem here is the routine. That's the most dangerous thing. You get used to things and you get hurt, not in the army. You get hurt when you go to the mall and suddenly there's a terrorist who is shooting at everybody or is performing a bombing act. You know? When you go up to the bus, even if you're not a soldier, even if you are, I don't know, when you're 60 years old, you look around, you see that there's no one suspicious, and you look out for objects that may be bombs that were left there.
Who's the one who keeps on leaving notes in your father's office?
Who's the one that what?
keeps leaving notes in your dad's office on the computer.
All of them.
Yeah? What's that about?
Because we love him. We love him. We want to show him our love.
We came thinking that he was going to get a nice 9-to-5 or 9-to-9 job, as it goes here, you know, selling, you know, window shades to, you know, everybody in China or something like that, some sort of international marketing position. And on the side, he'd do some magic. And it's not what was in the stars for him, as it were. It's not what. And so it never worked out. He never got a single phone call back from all of the resumes he sent out. And yet, this thing just panned out, you know, from the very beginning. Hospitals were looking for him and wanting him, specifically him, and working to get him. They saw immediately, he was doing this in the States, in a very well-known hospital. And they never appreciated him the way they appreciate him here. Here, he's saving people's lives. I mean, it's saving people's emotional lives in many cases. And there, it was just, you know, it was a nice thing to do, but, you know, it didn't have the same impact. Life is so much more intense here. And to couple that with being a sick child in the hospital, or a parent who has to watch the sick child in the hospital, you know, or the staff that's dealing every single day with sick or wounded children. So that intensity multiplies, who knows how many fold. And, you know, so that what he does makes a huge difference.
And always he makes it with a lot of love. And it's very nice.
I was in the tanks. I was the commander of the tank. I had a crew, and we belonged to a company. And every time we had to do something, a mission, every 4 months we had something for 4 months. We went to a city. We had the responsibility of the city. We had to do ambush, especially to guard, to see that there's not terrorists that are passing the fence, and if there's something happening, we have to react. So we are there. That's basically what we did, but it's more complicated, of course. Maybe we make mistakes and we are wrong sometimes, but we are strong enough and moral enough to how do you say, to pay for our mistakes.
One of the nurses in Mount Scopus, where we usually are hospitalized, told me she heard one mother speaking to her little kid, a lullaby. And the lullaby was, "You will grow up to kill Jews." And she didn't know this nurse understood Arabic. And the nurse turned to her and said, "How can you sing this? You're in a Jewish hospital with Jewish doctors, Jewish nurses taking care of you, and you're singing to your child that he's going to grow up to be a shaheed, a martyr, and kill Jews?" And mother really hadn't paid much attention to the lullaby. She just said, "It's a nice tune."
Did you know that Tully squeezed my finger so hard he turned them purple? You ever see him do that? Want to show her?
I know he's strong, but...
Here's my fingers. Here we go. Ready?
Tully, he needs his hand to work.
It's okay, it's okay.
Monday, Michael came, and all of a sudden Tully smiled. And he actually even laughed, although without a voice because he still couldn't talk yet. But Michael was the first person that actually got some sort of happy reaction from him. That was wonderful. That was wonderful. To see him laugh was a very, very good start.
I have had it happen probably 3 or 4 times where I've had the parents become emotional and actually choked up, and a couple of mothers I could see and hear that they had actually come to tears, not out loud so much that the child could tell, but I could see out of my peripheral vision and hear clearly that mom was really choked up and crying in some cases because they were seeing their child maybe laugh and cry out with fun and joy, whatever you want to say, in interacting with me. And here they've been in a situation where the child is sick, and it just shows them, wow, they're still a child, and that's really gratifying to me. It doesn't choke me up, it's just gratifying to me to see that what I do makes such an enormous impact on a family member. Here in the land of Israel, all stripes of people are used to dealing with all different stripes of people, which you don't necessarily have in a place like the United States or other parts of North America. Fringes that are worn on a four-cornered garment in Judaism are called tzitziot. Some observant men who wear those fringes on their four-cornered garment wear them underneath their shirt. I happen to wear my fringes out, so everyone immediately sees, whether I have a yarmulke on or not, that, oh, this is a fellow who's an observant Jew. I think that people appreciate that they're dealing with somebody who's trying to live to their beliefs.
Have you ever dealt with any prejudices, Magic Michael?
Not in Israel, no prejudices in Israel.
Well, we were talking about Magic Michael and his big influence, but in a very small world. And it works because it's in a vacuum, in a small, closed world. The question, what happens when it becomes outside the big world? And that is influenced by many factors.
You know, I think both people, the Palestinians and the people of Israel, have suffered enough. I think there should be an end to this circle of violence. As a Palestinian, I mean, my point of view is that there should be an end to the Israeli occupation.
Here you see that we're less than an hour over here to Jerusalem, also in the center of the country, but not by the coast. And we're also slightly south of Tel Aviv. This area here that is almost rectangular, this is Gaza. I've had it happen where that I was on the third floor of the Children's Hospital, and I was visiting with two women. One was a mother of a small baby, and since the baby was sleeping, I was interacting with the mom and the aunt. Now we were 4 flights up, and this is a monstrous building, and it's in an enormous area, the Tel Aviv Sourasky Medical Center. And we heard this boom, very loud boom, and we heard another boom. And I said, oh, it's a good thing I brought my umbrella. I think I remember that's what I said. But within a very, very brief time, probably less than a minute, cell phones started ringing. You could hear out through the windows, and these are not open windows, by the way, the sirens. And then the television sets were flipped on. And that was when you had a double suicide bombing in the area, which is probably about a 10-minute drive from that hospital in Tel Aviv. And you're talking about a major metropolitan city with all of the typical city noises, not too late at night, and yet you could hear those booms. And this was a double suicide bombing where the first bomber, human bomb, exploded himself, killing several foreign workers, Romanians, Chinese. And then the second suicide bomber, the second human bomb, and they're typically despicable plans, detonated himself when rescue workers came running so that he could have more victims. So that is something that happened while I was on the job, and that of course was very disconcerting, but you don't stop, you keep going.
Everybody has his own opinion. Everybody says what he wants, everybody says what he thinks should happen. That's the good and the bad quality in Israel. You have so many opinions, and it's a big democracy. Everybody says what he wants, and everybody has the right to say what he wants. Most of the people, and when I say most of the people, I mean 90%, wants quiet life, to have a life, to go to work at morning and to go back alive, to do things without any worry. To don't think when you go to the bus who is going up now, and maybe it's a terrorist, I don't know. And most of all, don't think about anything, and just about what you want to eat at lunch. Not open the TV and see that there was another bombing action.
An activist is someone who resists the occupation. He's being active against the Israeli rule in the Palestinian territories. When they are very young, they throw stones at Israeli soldiers, Israeli vehicles, military vehicles. Later on, if they have the chance to buy weapons, get weapons, arms, they might shoot at Israeli soldiers or settlers or something. Maybe they will join a group and then some sort of gang, gang of youngsters who become like, a cell, who will later on be named by the Israelis as terrorists, and so on. In the US or in any other country in the world, in England, Norway, Holland, Germany, France, wherever, if you protest against, for example, pollution, or against, I don't know what, against smoking in public places, maybe you will make a sit-in protest, sit in a place or hold a slogan or something like this. And at the end of the day, you go out to McDonald's with your boyfriend or girlfriend or with your wife and you have a good time and everything. And you go back to your normal life. A Palestinian who resists the Israeli occupation in a refugee camp in the West Bank should not be labeled in the same category as Osama bin Laden, for example, and his Al-Qaeda people. I mean, it's very different.
If you don't arrest an Arab terrorist that is entering the Israeli state, so he will perform an action. He will do something. He will kill 2, 3, 10 people. It's your responsibility. That's a big thing.
طيب ثلاثة يا طيب 4 ألوف 5
If there are a person who lost everything, what he needs from his life?
I say integration is not the right word. We need to know how to live together.
Palestinians lost everything. They will do everything. Palestinian people lose everything. They will do everything.
I once treated a baby that came from a bombing, how do you say? But she came into the ICU and we treated her, and her mother died in the explosion.
So this whole park here is called Defenders Park, Park Meganim, Defenders Park. And all along the rows here are names carved in stone. And underneath it says how old they were. Here's a 21-year-old boy, 19 years old, 18 years old, 21, 23, 21, 20, 24, 19. When they were killed, where they fell, all throughout the history of Israel. And these are all young men and women who came from this city of Rehovot.
זה מפריע להם. לא רוצה בלון? תראי כמה שזה יפה. לא רוצה? לא. את אוהבת בלונים? אז מה את אוהבת? כלום. כלום? כלום? Nothing.
A girl here, about 17 years old, and she was quite
ill in the beginning. She was ventilated, but she was conscious. After she saw him, she was so stronger. She laughed so much, although she was ventilated, but she was conscious and she laughed. And he made many tricks like he does all the time with the bubbles and with the music. He stands so happy and so full of hope.
Okay, now let's do it together. Always start at the knot.
Why do you want to learn how to make food animals?
Oh, tell them why.
It makes me a better doctor, I believe.
How so?
Because ask Alvin, but kids want people who talk to them and treat them first to be their friends. Then everything is easier.
Okay. Le capel. ללחוץ. לסובב. 1, 2, 3.
But it's very difficult. It's not that easy. For Michael, it comes very easily. But if I learn from him and people like him, I believe I'll be better. But it takes time.
ללחוץ. Okay, and then press and twist. 1, 2, 3. No more. I'm saying no more than 3 times. 1.
Oh, it's too small there.
Okay, proportions יבואו. Okay, that's much too small. Okay, now.
So making a balloon is harder than being a doctor.
Much harder. Not making the balloon, but what he told me before. Telling the story. That is נכון?
The clown anywhere outside the hospital is a way for us to set our worries aside and just enjoy things. Now, while enjoying things, these kids appear to be able to do things that, while concentrating, it's very difficult for them to do. And suddenly, a child who keeps thinking, I can't do this, there's no way I can do it, doesn't think about it anymore because he thinks about the balloons or the fun that he's having or the music, and he's suddenly doing it. And then, what we hope is happening is that he realizes, well, look, I just did it. Kind of what you see in the cartoons where you have Mickey Mouse running and suddenly finding himself up in the air, running over the hill, and only after realizing it, that's when they start to fall. Well, we expect the children to realize that they're running in the air and keep running in the air.
I was once asked when I was in the States, working for many years in this field of medical magician, as I call it, very rehabilitative oriented, team up with this group of clowns who were visiting from New York. All right, so I was asked to do that. So these people work in teams, but these people are real clowns. They perform in the circus, and on the side they work in hospitals. Well, along this idea of not mistreating people, not treating people in a way you wouldn't want to be treated, I don't wear face paint, I don't wear red noses, I don't put a sticker on my cheek, nothing like this, because I feel that a mask masks, hence its name. It breaks that human connection with a child. It breaks that human connection with whoever I'm dealing with in a hospital setting. And that's not my goal. My goal is to make a human connection. And that is broken by a face mask or by face paint. So in any case, I'm working with these clowns, and right away, here I am, Mr. Magic Michael, trying to be the soft touch approach that I always use and always conquers people's hearts and always gets through. It might not bring a smile, it might not stop a child cold from crying, but it always gets through in some way or another. Thank God with the blessings I've been given, that never fails. But here I get in front with somebody else. What happens? This clown, literally and figuratively, so what does she take? She takes a great big rubber hammer and starts to bash me over the head. She takes a rubber ice cream and starts to bang me in the face. What kind of garbage is that? That's not my approach. Do we think we have to be a human cartoon and fight and hit and kick so that you can get a kid to giggle? I tell you, for years of experience, not just in hospital, but on stage, anybody can get children to giggle. Just pretend you fall down, just pretend you stub your toe, just pretend you banged your thumb, ouch, ouch, that hurts. Okay, yes, a kid will giggle. Never have I done things like that, and I tell you, that was very difficult for me because I was already working with this sick little girl in the hospital, and her mother's there, and this person who is an invited guest teams up with me, and I start to get abused at my own expense so that this clown can get some cheap laughs. Oh, I was burning up. But I'm there for the child. I'm not there so I can say, stop, let's get off the train just a minute. You're not going to do that. What does that do to the child? So I put up with it till we were done. And when we left that child, this clown goes running off to a child that she hears crying in a crib. She gets over to the child, and the child sees this woman in face paint in all her huge clown outfit, and the child goes ballistic. Ballistic. I thought the father was going to grab the clown by the neck. The clown just scared the dickens out of this kid. Big important clown, circus clown, scared the dickens out of the kid. Fortunately, the clown was smart enough that she backed off very fast. And I slowly made some toots on my kazoo and my harmonica. I took out my bubbles, started to blow bubbles. I am telling you, like out of a movie, that child stopped crying. I got closer and closer until we started to do finger plays with each other and little nursery rhymes, and everything was wonderful. Of course, this other person I was working with doesn't take a lesson from something like that, and that's just the difference between Magic Michael's approach and a clown's approach.
To make everybody happy, everybody get along, what trick would you do?
I could make, for my birthday, I could make a little party, invite everyone together. And we can play games that girls need to have partners. And then they won't have a choice because everyone can't be with me. Everyone will have to take a partner. And then I could say everyone take a different partner. And then everyone could see that it's worth it. And that they don't need to stay far away from everyone else. They can be close.
He says you can't film him. Oh, it says okay, thank you.
Couldn't protest too much because from the day I was born, learning about the Eretz Yisrael and all the prayers are about coming back here, and no, they know that this is basically the right place to be.
Let me tell you something. My father was born in 1949, and this is it's 1 year after the Israeli take for the Palestinian lands. I mean, the actual state that's called Israel has been taken in 1948.
It goes to politics, and as they said, politics is a dirty game.
In order to understand the problem of the region, first of all, we have to understand the problems of the Arabs. We also have to understand the problems of the Jews. In Israel, we were taken out very, very forcibly by the Romans. We were taken to Babylonia, to Yemen, put into ghettos. We were taken to Spain. We were thrown out of Spain. We were thrown out of France. We were thrown out of England. We were thrown out of just about every country in the world. Recently, we were slaughtered in Germany and in Poland and in Hungary. In 1948, the Muslims would have said, look, you have your state, we have our state. They had a certain amount of Palestine. If they would have said, okay, you have your state, we have our state, nobody would have said anything to them, and that's a historical fact.
There's the Palestinians of 1948, which are now thought of as the Arabs of Israel, and there's the Palestinians of 1967, who are thought of the Palestinians. So we're caught in between.
If there are a person, he lost everything. What he needed from him?
The bombings, it's not a terror actions, it's resistance, but they don't find any other
All
way
the
of
people
doing it.
die. They have friends, they have fathers, sisters, brothers. They have.
No matter how hard it looks to us, it's the easiest thing. You're a walking bomb, that's it.
And there should be two states, Palestine and Israel, as President George W. Bush put it, in his vision.
This is my point of view, and I don't know. It's not easy, because as I told you before, and I would repeat it, I'm not there.
How are things these days to live in Israel?
It's good now, but the problem with the Palestinian and Israel now, and America is the problem.
What's the problem with America?
it's Americans. America, היא עושה את כל הבעיות, תסביר לו.
He says that America makes all the problems.
היא לא רוצה את זה, היא רוצה לכבוש עיר רק בגלל הנפט, להוציא כל הנפט ממנו וזהו שלום.
Okay, Rega. He says America is making all of the problems here because they want all of the oil in the region. He says America was not successful in Afghanistan. They were not successful in Iraq. It's more dangerous in both of those places now than it was previously, and they will not be successful anywhere they fight, and that the reason America does not want to make a war against Korea, even though Korea is making problems now, he says, it's because they know they would not be successful if America had to fight against China and Russia and so forth, so therefore they're just making troubles in these areas. And his crowning point was that with a snake you always must cut off its head. אתה יודע מה, אדלי, אני מתרגל כל כך יפה, בלי...
לא, בסדר,
ישר, אני מתפלא.
אני גם מנסה לתת לך...
I told him I'm proud of myself. I'm translating without emotions and taking signs. I'm pretty pleased.
You said everybody needs to die with honor. Is that something you would do as well?
רגע, על מה למות עם כבוד? הוא נתן את החץ השני, למות אם מישהו בא לגעת בי, להרוג אותי, או לקחת את הבית שלי, אני מוכן למות ממה שלחיות אחר כך כמו חיה.
אני מבין.
אז תסביר לו את זה.
Okay, he says, if somebody comes to attack you and take your house, of course I'm prepared to die to protect myself.
A few days ago at the BBC, they had this program called Hard Talk. He was talking to the Saudi Arabian Minister of Education. The Minister of Education is put in now as a moderate because they had these fanatics who were doing terrible things, and they put in this moderate in order to reform the Saudi Arabian educational system. Now, the guy asked him a question. He said, you know, in the Saudi Arabian textbook that they teach 14-year-old kids, it says, oh, Arab, behind every rock at the day of redemption, every warak will say to you, oh, holy Arab, why did you not kill a Jew? And on the day of redemption, if you didn't kill a Jew, what are you going to say to the rock? And a rock will come out to you and say to you, why didn't you take me and kill a Jew? And this fellow, the person who was interviewing, he said, do you think this is an abhorrent thing that they're teaching to 14-year-old kids? So he said, well, you know, maybe it shouldn't be taught to 14-year-old kids. I think the problem we have is not with the little kids, but with the grown-ups who are inciting these children and teaching them to do things that make no sense, that bring no good to anyone, not to the Jews and not to the Arabs, that are taking the entire region and putting it into a situation of unrest and a place that nobody's going to get anything out of. And I think that's the real problem with this so-called sacrifice.
How are you?
Well, thank you. Well, you know, I was only 40 years in the army. I was fighting in Italy during the Second World War.
Is that the Palestine
Well, in
Brigade?
Italy. No, Italy and...
Right, but with the Palestine Brigade?
Yeah, the Jewish Brigade.
Jewish Brigade, that's right.
Brigade.
So, why are people still fighting? Why do you think people are still fighting?
Because האדם בעצמו, האדם, the man is also fighting all the time. Means the human being is fight also. For example, הכדוריות האדומות והכדוריות הלבנות כל הזמן נלחמות. אז האדם כל הזמן נלחם. זאת אומרת, never stop. War never stop. You have to fight for calculation, you fight for בשביל המעמד שלך, for dignity you fight, whole time fight, you fight for בשביל החברה, להיות מרכז בחברה, כל הזמן אתה נלחם.
He wants to know why they can't stop and make peace.
ברגע שאתה לא נלחם אתה מת.
Say it in English.
When you stop to fight, you die. Mean you are dead man. Yeah.
So why do people aim for
no,
peace?
the people, the human being has to be all time alert for his life, you see? That's it.
So why do people want peace?
To rest. Peace is for rest. To fight and to rest. To fight and rest. That's it.
Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. ניפגש בפאי, בעזרת השם. Shabbat shalom. This room here is what's called in English the sealed room. Modern equivalent of bomb shelter, but not underground, above ground, and sealed against chemical warfare. This is the sealed room. Solid concrete walls with no breaks, and it's against the law to drill into these walls. Anything you see on my walls are up with tape or blue tack. And obviously the room doesn't have to sit empty. I double it as an office, but there's enough room in here to last for several hours. What I do want to point out to you and draw your attention is down here we have the gas mask for my eldest daughter, the gas mask for myself, the gas mask for my Debbie, the gas mask for my second daughter, for my son, and for my other daughter, and then for the baby, who even though she's a toddler, she still has a special gas mask arrangement, which is an entire suit that goes over the body. Can I explain to you? This is the picture of the full body suit for baby up until just over 2 years old. This actual picture is the baby with, in this case, a mother, and she's wearing her face mask, gas mask. And note here that the instructions in this manual are in Hebrew, are in Russian, and are in Arabic, the three main languages that are printed in this manual. So during the war against Iraq, the US launched, all of my children had to carry to school with them their gas masks. See, they come with these little totes here, and all through the streets of Israel, children went off to school with their backpacks, their book bags, their lunch bags, and their gas mask. The children several times a week had to have their drills for wearing their gas masks. This is not unplugged at this point, but one would unplug the filter section of the gas mask and put it, of course, onto the end, and the child was instructed how to wear this. And that's what Jewish and Gentile children all over Israel had to do. They even have an injector enclosed, and this injector is if, God forbid, they did suffer chemical attack, that would be injected directly into the body. And myself, I also had to carry my gas mask when I was out of doors, and it is just a fact of life.
Happiness is like, you can just smile to somebody on the street, and that person will smile to somebody else, and it will continue on. Just because of my smile, it could be that 100 people will get that smile. Just because of me. Just happiness. If I'm happy, I can smile at somebody, I could say hello. It's not that hard.
Inside, the patients need his help, and therefore they can take it. No matter what's the color, or are they Jewish or Arab, they are all sick. But outside, when they come out, that magic doesn't always last, because outside, as you know, there are many people that influence in many directions. And the same people who are helped by Magic Michael, no one can assure us that they will always help other people outside. I wish I could be sure about it, but unfortunately we cannot be sure about it.
I think for the team, the hardest thing is to manage with that and to speak with the parents about it. I think it's difficult to me as a head nurse. I think the other thing is to manage with the feeling of the parents especially the anger, the anger that they put over the team. This is the two big things.
I don't think that if I were living the type of life that I choose to live with my wife and the two of us building a family as we're building, that I would be the same kind of magician that I am. Probably not, because I wouldn't approach what I do with the same type of great responsibility. I look at it as a tremendous responsibility. I personally feel that the fact that I grew up in a home that wasn't as religiously observant as I choose to live my life now is actually a tremendous plus and benefit for me, because I think that I can interact with people even more healthfully because I have a broader worldview.
Michael is doing much more than just help the children smile, but actually try and advance them. This is unique, and this is something new, and I don't think it's been described yet, and we're very anxious to see how this will actually work out.
I think both parties have suffered enough, and I pray that that God brings in peace to this land of peace here, and especially in Jerusalem. I mean, as human beings, everyone wants to live in peace and security, the Israelis and the Palestinians.
I will be very proud if my son chooses to go and become a member of the Israeli Defense Forces. As for my daughters, girls who come from homes that are Torah and religiously observant homes do what is called Shirut Le'umi, which means national service. Means that they are a volunteer for a year or 2 years of time in all sorts of things helping the greater public.
I read a story about, it's not true, but 4 girls were very, very good friends, and two of them didn't want to be together anymore because they separated. So that girls on Purim, on the happy time for the Jews, they went and they gave a basket full of candy to each girl, like from the other girl. In the end, they sent each other another basket because they thought that it was from another. And in the end, they were together. You can use a lot of tricks, a lot of things.
Adli said that he spoke freely. He does not hate Jews. That's what he said.
אין שנאה, אבל כל אחד צריך לחיות פה כמו שהיה חי. לא לבוא לכבוש, לא לבוא לקחת ערים, לא לבוא להוציא אנשים, לא להרוג ולא לחסל. כל אחד יכול לחיות פה בשקט.
Everybody should live here quietly, and that's it. Shkoyach, Yasher Koach, Toda Rabba.
First of all, I appreciate all the services and all the treatment that my son is receiving from the Israeli hospitals. They are really excellent. Yeah, doctors and nurses, staff, and everyone. But when my son goes back, when he recovers, and when he goes back to his normal life, he goes back to school, to his classmates and to his friends and so on, he will of course tell them that he received excellent treatment here. And they know it, because they came here to visit him in the hospital and they saw everything. They know it. They know and they believe that, the Israelis are not all bad, Not all bad. Very few of them who dominate, make decisions, are maybe not good. But most of them are ordinary people who should live normally, live their normal life and so on. So why not have friends? Yeah, no problem.
That everyone's God's creations. Try to maintain, in hospital settings, try to maintain some sort of ceasefire. Instead, work on the level that it's mothers and sick children.
In the end, people in Palestine and in Israel must live together in peace. This is my idea. Mm-hmm. They must live in peace.
So what are they going to do? How?
I don't know. This is a very big problem. If I know how, the leaders must know how. Right.
My philosophy of life is that all the people around the world, the treasure that they are looking for is love. Everyone is looking for love. And what Michael sells in big quantities is love and affection. And this merchandise is being sold very easily.
If he says, if he has friends who say, we're going to go and do this, we're going to be an activist, we're going to throw stones, we're going to, and meaning that, I mean, this is your son, and there's a possibility that he's going to get in harm's way. What do you say as a parent?
Listen, I was an activist myself. I was arrested by the Israeli army. And my brother was an activist and he was arrested. And my sister was arrested. My sister was imprisoned for 3 years. And she was engaged, her fiancé left her after that and she never got married again and so on. So we believed in resisting the occupation and so on. But we grow old now and we are fed up. And unfortunately, the Palestinian Authority, the performance of the Palestinian Authority has not been very satisfying to the Palestinian people. There has been corruption within the Palestinian Authority and they did not deliver the goods, okay? So we're fed up. We say now we want to live in peace, we want to live in harmony, we don't want to get into politics, we don't want to get into trouble. That's it. And I will not allow my son to be an activist. I will not. We had enough. I'm not, because we sacrificed a lot for nothing. For nothing. So why to let him lose his life or lose years of his life for nothing?
I want to point out something else. Here we go. Magic Michael. My opinion is that the most vile and horrific child abuse in the world is to teach a child that it is a lofty and praiseworthy thing to kill, maim anyone who doesn't follow what their leaders teach them is the right thing to do.
When storm clouds gather.
אוקיי. אז אני מאחל לך תרגיש טוב בגלל יש לך גיימבוי, אתה לא צריך גיימבוי.
When you feel so all alone and so small, you reach out to touch somebody, but it seems like there's no one there at all.
Everybody has their place in the world. Everybody has something special that they offer to the world that nobody else can offer. And the goal in everyone's life is to find it. And I think he's finally found it.
To show you the way, and you got to smile and face tomorrow. Smile and greet another day. Smile though your heart's broken with sorrow. You've got to smile and chase those tears away. And strife is all around you, and troubles never seem to end. Hey, don't let it bring you down. You have the strength and the power to rise again. You have a friend who's waiting. Happy things he would say, like you got to smile and face tomorrow. Smile and greet another day. Smile though your heart's filled with sorrow. You You've got to smile and chase those tears away.
See you later, alligator.
I think yes. I think we need more magic markers. More magic markers. Yes, definitely. That's something we need. Yeah, I would tell him if he can do a school. If he'd start a school for, Magic Michael students.
Sometimes it's the flower, sometimes the sword in their hand. Everyone claims the power, there's trouble in the Holy Land. Everybody runs, everybody runs. There ain't no place to hide. There are so many guns, so many have died. This is what you get on King David's mountainside. Blood, guts, and regrets when two worlds collide. There's a rainbow in the sky, some days you see it clear, and you hear the awful sounds and you know it's been hell around here, where the ancient prophets walked and the old folks sighed. By the western wall they prayed for some force to change the tide, where the Jordan River runs deep and it's cold from side to side. The price of peace is steep when two worlds collide. When two worlds collide, each one is scarred, like two pit bulls fighting in a yard. When two worlds collide by the temple and the dome, what magic will it take to bring peace back home?